Welcome back to another improv session. Today I want to talk a little bit about phrasing. This, for some reason, doesn't get talked about a lot when we work on improvisation, but it really is something that can keep us and help us to sound really good, even if we're playing really simple stuff. I guess simply put, when to play and when not to play, when to play, when to pause. That's a big deal. A lot of times when we're taught to improvise, we're taught to just play the correct scales or arpeggios over certain chords, whatever that means, whatever correct means. So this way of improvising is a way that gets you playing more melodically than just thinking scales over chords. So if we were to take what we've been working on, let's just take, for now, let's take Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I changed the key to A, by the way, from the last couple sessions. So we want to know, as we're playing, when the melody pauses or when it rests. So here is our first time where it kind of sits for a second, and then it does it again here. So when we improvise, using any trick, using scales, arpeggios, embellishing the melody, upper, neighbor, lower, all the things we've talked about, cadences, one thing that'll just automatically make you sound like you really know what you're doing is to play the phrasing that's built into the piece. So even if I come up with my own melody, if I pause when the original melody pauses, then it sounds like a musical sentence or a phrase. So if you play the phrases that match the melody, then you're going to have some real direction in your improvisation. So we can do that through the whole thing. And so you can see that I had a really kind of that rhythm going, but when just by pausing, it broke it up, and then you combine it with all the other rhythm options. So you get the idea how you can like start mixing the things that we talked about in the past, as long as you play the phrasing that's built into the piece rather than think chord to chord to chord. Man, one of the best ways to learn to improvise is just learn like every possible melody you can learn in every key, and then you'll just start to like phrase and play melodies in a way that's really musical. Rather than taking a scale or arpeggio approach, is something that I really recommend you at least consider and try a little bit, so it merges with the scale work and stuff that you might be doing if that's been your approach. The other thing you can do on this is with the left hand. If you go back to our improvisation video I did last time on the cadences, where you resolve to the nearest note. So we did something like that last week where we just resolved to the nearest note of cadence. Do that in the left hand while you improvise your own melody in the right hand. I'm going to play the original melody for now. So then you can combine that. So you had the cadences in the left hand with just single note resolutions, with the phrasing combining arpeggio scales and stuff in the right hand, but pausing on the notes where the melody would pause. So that's a really powerful thing that will just make you sound like you know what you're doing, and give you a lot of confidence as you build up the vocabulary of the harmonic stuff and the rhythmic stuff that you will get into as time goes on. You can do this in anything. There's a pause. So when you improvise your own melody on that, we pause there, and then we pause. Even these, so I pause on those, otherwise it gets to be. Now, we've all heard people improvise that way. And that's a lot of times the difference. It's just a matter of playing the phrasing that the piece indicates. One final philosophical note on all this stuff. There is no one way to do all of this stuff. I've always been hesitant to write anything about improvisation or even do these kind of videos because just really was concerned that people would take everything too literally. And it really can't be that way. We have to learn the concepts and get really specific, and then get really wide and forget about all that stuff and see what has stuck and see what we do with no parameters, and then go back to really tight parameters. And maybe there's a million ways to approach the phrasing thing we talked about today. So sometimes I might have a situation where I say, or our teachers say, play whatever notes you want, but use the rhythms of Mozart or Charlie Parker or whatever. That's not a wrong philosophy. I've grown a lot from doing that. And then as soon as we do that for a little bit, we blow it up and then we do whatever we want or approach it from another angle. So it takes time. Like I'd say, to improvise and be comfortable in different scenarios, it can take 10 years, and that's actually a pretty fast track. So you just want to be patient, and there's no formula. There's no we're going to go from here, we're going to learn this, and then we're going to learn that. It doesn't work that way. It's a non-linear thing. We just have to learn everything. And sometimes, if we get too hung up on one thing, we're missing opportunities to work on other things that will help that one thing we're stuck on get better. So just be playing all the time, playing along with recordings, listening to recordings, taking something that one of the great classical composers wrote and blow it up and do what I did with the Mozart and just hack your way through it. It's not about perfection. It's about concepts and getting the concepts. And we just keep accumulating concepts, and in the end you'll have a language that you can use to play your own thing in many different situations. So I just wanted to make sure I threw that in because I just have this vision of people going through this stuff too literally. Everything that's on here you have to learn if you want to improvise, but that doesn't mean you have to do it this way really strictly all the time. You can go back 3 videos or go do whatever your teachers are telling you to do, then come back to this, approach it once again maybe a year or 2 down the road, and it clicks in way differently. So we have to know it all, kind of, and we have to know the concepts, but then again we have to forget about them immediately so we can expand and find our own sound within the context of what we're doing. So anyway, that's some philosophy. Sorry to bore you with that, but I think it's important to keep in mind, think long term, and just kind of accumulate concepts. All right, have fun with it all.